To support this channel and continuing to provide quality and accessible music education programming, please consider donating to the links in the description or in the pinned comment. Thank you. A lot of these vocal coaches, that's what they call them on YouTube. They say like, and you can get 4 octaves, you can get 5 octaves. So what are your thoughts on, like, for example, all of these people doing these whistle notes and things like that now?
And when they say they've got 5 or 6 octaves, I don't want to hear probably all of them.
Whistle register is a fairly new term. Old pedagogy books refer to this range as neck whistling, throat whistling, laryngeal whistling, or most commonly, flageolet register. It should be noted that most studies around the singing range have been done on women, as males, by and large, have never generally sang this high. Following the rules of traditional singing, the voice has 3 natural registers: the chest register, the medium or middle register, and the head or upper register. The upper register or high notes start and stop at different places in the different types of female voices. Looking at any chart, you'll notice that the flageolet or whistle register is the register above the head voice. Richard Miller describes it as, after the pitch determination has reached its physical boundaries, additional semitones may be accomplished through increasing vocal fold tension. However, this maneuver is to be avoided because the tissues of the vocal folds are not constructed to sustain stressful actions over a long period. No matter what term is used to describe this register, there's a common consensus that a lot of tension is used to produce these very high pitches. Douglas Stanley writes, "The tongue is relaxed and then drawn back to the posterior wall of the pharynx in a high degree of tension. The vocal cords are squeezed together by tension on the neck muscles."
Because there's so much tension in order to achieve that.
So how can you identify the tension when these people are singing that high?
Identify the tension. They are literally tensing the vocal folds. Mm-hmm. They're literally tensing the vocal folds.
Can you see it like in their face or in their necks also?
I don't know. I mean, it depends. I mean, they may not show it on their face, but they are manipulating the vocal folds. The vocal folds are not designed to do that. The definition of the vocal cords are twin infoldings of mucous membranes. For a woman, 1.25 centimeters. For a man, 1.75 centimeters. Tiny. That transverse the larynx from front to back. They go slowly for the lower pitches. They go faster for the higher pitches. They are not to be abused. They are not to be manipulated. Just in general, from the people that I've heard, it's kind of like a party trick, unless it's really connected with the rest of the voice. I dare say that Natalie Dessay, the French coloratura, put lots of coloraturas into apoplexy when she could sing a high G flat or a high A above high C.
I remember the first time I heard Natalie sing. I met her in Salzburg when I was doing Le Grand Macabre of Ligeti, and she was doing Queen of the Night. So we went to her show. And so she starts the first aria, and I think, oh, that's a nice sound. You know, oh, it's neat. She gets those eyes. Nice. Oh, okay. Okay, well, nice. And it was exactly the same voice going all the way up. And I thought, fuck, excuse my French. Oh, wow. Now that is something.
If we follow the rules of the 3 natural registers, some women can't sing what we consider whistle notes as a part of their natural voice. So there are women who can't or who do naturally have those notes.
But how many of them are there? They are rare. They are rare.
So the question now is, how do you know if these notes are a part of someone's voice?
So when you know that it is part of the voice, when you can decrescendo, crescendo. If you can only do it at one volume, it's a party trick. It's not connected with the rest of the voice.
Can she sing the note loud? Half loud? Quietly? When talking about the approach of high notes, the rule is generally you start quietly and then grow on the pitch, as Natalie Dessay does here. And as Denise Williams does here. With a whistle tone singer such as Mariah Carey, when she wants to do something similar, she'll start away from the microphone. Similar to Chanté Moore, if she wants to get quiet, she will physically move away from the microphone. Or close her mouth. The whistle tone singer, something that I've noticed is like maybe from like A below high C to maybe D, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't, it's like a black hole.
It's a black hole. Yeah, that's true, because that's what I was saying about my high D was always like, it was really hard for me to get a good high D because I kept wanting to flip into whistle. And if you do that, then you can kill the notes underneath it as well, because you don't, otherwise it just flips after C sharp, and that's not very nice.
The real test, however, is if the singer has all of the notes under the high note. these examples, all three women get to the note. And they all come down and sing the A minor triad scale underneath it.
They can sing F6, but how's their F5? Or how's their F4? So as they descend the scale, does the voice kind of just disappear? Or can they sing with a full, balanced sound as they descend with a little chest register? They're not engaging chest register, but the chest register is there, kind of meeting them and helping them descend the scale.
If you look at, well, and she doesn't use super head voice or whistle. Look at voices like, I'm trying to think. Who else does? Well, there's one. Who's the gal who sang "I'm Loving You"?
Minnie Riperton. Yeah.
Oh, Minnie Riperton. But Minnie Riperton had like a full. She could sing all through the range. And that was just but I think that was a much softer kind of a timbre of voice all the way through the voice, and a sweet timbre. That was a beautiful voice. The people who utilize whistle tone in pop music, they're not using that range, probably from about an E up to an A under, or up to probably high D or whatever. They're probably not really using that range at all, because what they're trying to do is pull up the chest up to a certain point, and then they flip into whistle when they want it up an octave. I think Mariah Carey and all these other girls are using a lot more chest resonance. So you don't have the homogeneity of the voice going up and down like you do with opera singers, or with lighter kind of operetta, or like Minnie Riperton did, kind of this light pop voice.
If you look at these notes written out by a head voice singer, you'll notice there are a lot of steps and scales of them going up and down. Whereas if a whistle tone singer is doing something similar, they simply will jump to the note, and they stay there and can't really descend from it. Voice and whistle register singers describe these parts of their ranges very differently.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, when I joined Stevie Wonder, I was always the girl on top, of it. So, we had Shirley Rose, the alto, and Lonnie Rose was the second soprano, and I was the first soprano. So, that's a position that I liked. It was easy to do that.
So you just always have those notes. You never have to work towards them?
No. God gave it to me. So it came to me free.
Singers who use head voice to achieve these notes, such as Denise Williams and Laura Claycomb, describe these notes as having always been there.
So amazing with these high notes, these coloratura type of notes. When did you first actually realize you can do that, and how did you develop it?
When I was a little girl in my room by myself. There were some high notes that were full voice that I couldn't reach regular, and for some reason when I stretched for the it would just jump right to that. So that's kind of how it showed itself.
Singers such as Shantae Moore or Mariah Carey describe their high notes as accidents.
And at the end I go like, shiny, see. real high note that I can't do right now because I had no sleep. And I went for it more than I go for it on live TV these days because you can't control it now. People.
Mariah Carey even describes it as something they can't control.
But the whistle register is supposedly just a part of your vocal cords, like just a little bit. It's right on the edge, and you're just using like half of your vocal cords, like the inner half. And it's just the edge and the inner half that is vibrating. So it's not the whole cord. The whole cord is not vibrating for that. So it has to turn in a specific way in order to get that crazy high stuff up there.
Would you say that a pop singer who uses whistle tone, would you say that the way they use it, that they would be heard in a 2,000-seat theater over an orchestra without a mic?
No.
So it's completely different from what you do, still.
Well, it's the same mechanism, but it's I think it's held in a different way. I love Mariah Carey. But yeah, I don't think that would carry in a hall. Because it's much kind of further back, and they've got a mic, so yeah. And I also think that it's a thinner sound than what we try to make, and doesn't have the same kind of support.
And something
or airflow probably.
You make me feel so.
She started with a little, with tension, because you could hear some air escaping.
So in those clips with Mariah and Shantae, we heard a lot of air when they would sing those notes. We'd never hear that kind of air with some of the women you just mentioned when they're singing in that same range. Why is that? Because let the pop music fans tell it. They think that's a stylistic choice.
Oh no, it's bad. It's called bad singing.
I feel so.
If you're pushing a lot of air, then you're not getting any vocal efficiency, which means you're going to have to push the voice or push the vocal cords to give more sound. She started with a little, with tension, because you could hear some air escaping and an H. It was not a smooth transition. Mm-hmm. It was not a smooth transition. The acid test is a smooth transition. Because if Mariah, if that was a true sound, it wouldn't be C7 by any means. It would maybe an F, maybe a G, maybe. And so if you want to achieve those notes, the only way you can do it is this way, because you're not using any support. You're not using any support. The voice, it doesn't have any resonance. It has no resonance. It's not loud. It's not full. It is totally manufactured. That's not, I mean, if you listen to a classical singer singing those pitches, it's got a completely different sonority.
To put it simply, Mariah Carey and Shantae Moore produce whistle tones by pushing air through the vocal cords. And you can really hear the air on the days where their whistle register is not working.
She produces her voice is a trick. It's a trick, and it is produced through manipulating the vocal cords. That's all. And so sometimes it works. If you're rested, okay, but if the voice is a little tired, those muscles say no. Because there's different muscles that control chest register and head register. And they are supposed to blend. They're supposed to be like an even. It's like a relay race. One sort of hands off to the other. So at the very top, you might have just little remnants of chest register, and at the bottom you have little remnants of head register, so that it's like a cohesive whole. But when you go in there and you just literally squeeze, that is not a true tone. That is, I don't know how you would describe it, but it's not connected with the voice. And therefore, it is unreliable.
Baby, it's all in your mind.
If I'm having to do like a performance or something, I'll just test it out and see, is it there today? Okay, because it's not always there.
Looking through old pedagogy books, for the rare group of women who do have the extra range, it is not recommended for them to sing above E or F above high C. The highest note in the standard operatic repertoire is high F, found in Mozart's Queen of the Night. So I know they say for the women that can, the rare group of women that can, no woman should really be singing above F or G. For those who can, would you say that that's like the end of the natural voice?
What F or what G?
This is G above high C. So I know like Garcia has in his book, like for the women who can, the rare group of women who can, no woman needs to be singing above G. And for some reason, I think G might also be the highest written.
Yeah, that's in Esclarmonde. But there is a version, or the composer gave the soprano, instead of a high G, gave her high E. Instead of having to sing the G, sing an E. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessary. If you don't have healthy vocal goals and healthy vocal practices, you will be in retirement. So get the money and run.
While high notes are exciting, they are also the demise of many singers.
And girls would go into depression because they can't do it. But they shouldn't do it because it's not written in rhyme. And as a consequence, for Natalie to say, she's had several vocal surgeries, which, sort of confirms the old adage, just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it. When she came back down to earth, that may not be the story in a few years, because that was all just, she's a talented person. And see, this is the problem. It's a shame. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do it. And because she can do that, she is going to be encouraged every time she stands up to sing. Do that, do that, whatever that was. And it's going to get harder and harder because it's manufactured. It's not natural. And just like the other girls who say, well, some days it's good, some days it's not. The days that it's not are going to increase. Because there's so much tension in order to achieve that. It's really not worth it, but nobody who is telling her to stop.
For the women who can actually do it, the vocal cords strictly are not designed to be consistently pushed to these extremes. Natalie Dessay sang like this for nearly 15 years. For those who utilize whistle register, the same notion reigns true, but the method in which they also produce these high notes is a recipe for disaster.
When was that recording made?
She was 20.
Yeah, how old is she now?
1991. She's, sources vary, but she's 53 or 52.
Yeah. Right. She's not doing that anymore.
Well, she can't really do much of anything anymore.
And that, and this, that, what you just played, is the reason why. Well, and that has to be frustrating and depressing for these girls who have had such fame and attention and adulation and not be able to do that anymore. To have your whole identity sort of wrapped up in this party trick and not being able to sustain it. That's not, I mean, so people say, well, you're getting old. That isn't, no. Bad singing is just bad singing.
The Musical Times says, anyone can acquire flageolet notes, but they should only be reserved for the highest sopranos. As for those who aren't, will inevitably ruin their lower notes. Listening to someone like Ashanti Moore, she takes the whistle register all the way down to E flat. This should be sung in head voice, and these are notes that should be of great quality, but they sound like this. Similarly, this is how Betty Wright sounded before she leaned into the whistle register. And this is how those same notes sounded after. While she could definitely impress with these very high notes, the entire quality and center of the voice took on a grainy and coarse quality. When it comes to the relationship between super high notes and the rest of the voice, some will say ruin is a strong word.
You had 2 vocal operations, haven't you?
Yes.
And know why?
Why?
What
because
were you doing to your voice?
Yeah, I had a pseudocyst on this cord and a polyp on this one.
Now, were you scared to death that it would change things?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I thought
It was over, maybe.
Yeah, I thought it was over. But I'm the proof that it's not over.
Yes, you are.
But super rangy singing does inevitably lead to a change in the overall quality of the instrument. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Until next time.